Welcome to Judging 101. My name is Sandi Thomas, and today we are going to talk about scoring the categories of both diction and intonation. I have retired recently in the past 2 years after teaching for 38 years and in choral music, and what a wonderful 38 years it was. I started my career in Miami and just loved that experience. Moved back home to Virginia. I'm a Virginia born and bred girl. Moved back home to Virginia, be closer to my family, and then I spent the remainder of my years in the Chesterfield County Public Schools, where I was the director at Clover Hill HS. I had both an all-female show choir, the Iridescence, and a mixed show choir, which was New Dimensions. So, I thought when Damon asked me to do this, what was it that I could say that would help, any number of you who may be clicking on this video. I remembered thinking back when I was first asked to judge, and I thought, what kind of judge do I want to be? And that's what you really have to ask yourself. What kind of judge do you want to be? We've all had many different kinds of judges, and some of them have been, more helpful than others. And it was after I did some soul searching and really thought about that question. I remembered those judges that, they may not have been the best comments that I wanted to hear, but I learned from them, and they were helpful. I also found that the judges that could that demonstrated right here and there that whatever it was that they were suggesting that might help our groups, they would do a quick demonstration. That was very helpful to me, and so I found that I have over the years, I'm usually the one that's singing in the microphone somewhere, and hopefully that's helpful. I think that for those of you who are just starting out on that judge's path, that's a question you've got to ask yourself, and you know what, it changes over the years, and you realize, okay, this was helpful to me, and maybe something else that I have to say might be helpful to someone else. So Damon, has been kind enough to ask me to speak about diction and intonation. And, both of those are things that I think a lot of us take for granted. So I looked up, what's the actual definition of show choir diction, or diction and singing. And it is diction for singers is defined as the pronunciation and enunciation of your vocal expression. In regards to singing, it is the clarity of particular ways words are pronounced in a song. And so that goes right along with what all of us pretty much know the diction is. So when I'm judging a group, and we get to that category of diction, generally, let's say that the point spread is, you give them a 1 to a 10. I don't give below a 5. To me, I think that you have to reward the group for getting up there and doing what they are trained to do. And maybe if they, and to me, that's probably right around a 5. If they go above and beyond, and you can really clearly understand what they are singing, then you start, playing with where you want your points to land. But diction is just, it's the energy behind the articulation of the words. And I find that the energy that a group is bringing to their entire show, whether it's whether it's in their choreography or their diction or the whole package, the energy that comes along with what's going on that stage is either going to help the diction or it's going to hurt the diction. And so if you are watching a group and listening to a group, I always try to just sort of divorce myself away from things, just to see if I can I clearly understand what they're saying. And a lot of times, I find myself saying this over and over and over again. chew up the words, use your entire face to get your point across, to create the words. And you know what? When the groups do that, then that helps all the way across the board with their facial expressions. It ties into intonation. It ties into everything. The more energy that a group has, physically, vocally, it all translates into the energy of their show. And I find that with diction, if you're not able to understand the words, and a lot of songs, I don't know, a lot of songs are maybe more current popular songs that maybe I don't know. And so I can always tell that, okay, this group has really worked on their diction, because I don't know the song, but I know every word that they're singing. And that's where you start getting, your higher scores, where you really have no problem understanding what these kids are singing. And it's not that they're putting on at the end of, of every word that has a T on it. And it's, not that they're doing the consonants at the front and the back of the words, but it's that it's understandable in a conversational kind of way. For me, that's my own personal feeling, is that, it makes sense conversationally. I understand everything that's going on, from the first consonant to all, everything that happens in between before the words end or the phrase ends. And that's when that you've got a group that's really articulating, and they're articulating with energy, even of course, in the softs that require that much more energy, as we all know. So it's not just in those loud places, and you're hearing a lot of yes, that's important, but it's not the thing that gives a group a 9 or a 10. The thing that gives a group on my sheet a 9 or a 10 is that I can understand the entire phrase. I understand, what the song is about if I don't know it. So it's, diction requires a great deal of energy. And it, as well as, and Damon has asked me to speak on intonation as well. And, you find that the groups that have intonation problems generally might have diction problems, might have some energy issues going on in their show. And so it's not that you want things to be frenetic, but the energy, the physical energy, and I know I just said it, but the physical energy of your singer-dancers completely ties into what's happening vocally, and that's, be it diction or or tone, or the way the tone is spinning, or intonation. Most certainly, when your singer dancers are up there and they are they're doing they're dancing really hard and they're trying to articulate. Sometimes one of the first things that goes is the intonation, if there's not the energy and the support and the core work that is required when you're doing all of that physical energy, or exerting all that physical energy. So it's really, really important that as far as intonation goes, I mean, that's usually pretty cut and dry. You can hear that a group continues to have intonation issues throughout their show. You can hear that that perhaps you're not understanding the words a great deal throughout their show. So it's it ties in completely. It has so much to do with the energy underneath that vocal production. It's all one big package tied up with one bow. We used to always, and I'm sure a lot of people do this, run your show while singing, but running up and down stairs, up and down, to start building their stamina. We would run our auditorium stairs and sing our show, and it didn't have to be pretty. It didn't have to be, but it was, allowing them to build that stamina of, that they would need for a whatever 18-minute show, whatever 20-minute show, whatever it would be, and keeping those breaths low, and keep making sure that they're not breathing and almost hyperventilating, taking these short breaths, it's very important that they breathe deeply throughout their show, not just these quick breaths to get back in for the next entrance. Um, and you start to see a group tire out that does that. And when they're really breathing shallow breaths, you can tell they start to peter out, and it affects their show all the way around. So I again I'm it comes back to um, you know developing that core strength, to support the tone, to support everything that's going on physically, right? Um, and there's so much that directors, I'm sure, out there, so much that you can do, and I could go on and on about that. But there's so much that you can do about, to build that core strength, before not. And I'm not talking about waiting until January or December, depending on when you start to compete. But I'm talking about when you're back in August or whenever that is. Start then, because that will give you that much more time for you to build up that stamina and that strength. um, and so it's the groups that you see um, that have done the work, but they've done it consistently all the way. You can tell this didn't just get put together yesterday. It didn't get put together last month. They've been working on their breath support and their diction, yes, all of the dynamics and all that good stuff. But they did the foundational work long ago. Not just it's we have a competition in a month, let's start working on this now. So those groups, I think, fare a lot better, because then the students have the energy and and that stamina to keep their show up. So hopefully some of this makes sense, and hopefully as you as judges, or potential judges, as you start to go and watch groups, and judge groups, I just think about what would be helpful to you as a director, um, before you sit down with that pen and paper. So just really, I'm so grateful to Damon for asking me to be here with you today, and I wish everyone the best of luck this season, and have a wonderful season, and stay safe. Thanks a bunch.